It's Wednesday. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown as always. I have my lovely co-host, but I must say Happy New Year again for those of you watching us for the first time. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
How you guys doing? You know, we didn't ask you how your break was. Because your view was on break for like a week.
Yes.
And you guys, what did you guys do? Wake up.
We worked hard. We
It
were cooking, cleaning.
Yeah.
It was,
Your help is not
it was
around.
not a holiday for me. I need a proper holiday after this one.
How are you doing though?
I'm doing good. I saw something on TV yesterday. In Germany, they've just introduced a new law where they now recognize intersex people.
Right.
So intersex, these are people that we would normally call hermaphrodites, but that's like a rude way of calling them. So people who have both male and female,
genitals.
characteristics. And so now you can sign male, female, or diverse.
Wow.
And I think it's a good step in the right direction because yes, we have to understand that they said that there's a large percentage of human beings who are born every day that have these characteristics, and they have been, sidelined or ostracized.
No.
We need to
They are not
recognize.
seen
Yes,
as
there
normal.
are.
I think it was a
There are.
medical.
It was
is
a congenital disformity, or what they call it when you're
Yeah, it's
forming
medical
the child.
disformity.
So you choose one as you grow. In fact, the parents were supposed to choose, but later they started leaving it for the
Yes,
person.
because
to
let me
choose.
tell you what
so
happened.
you choose the dominant.
No,
gene.
it's not always
Dominant
dominant. Some of
sex.
them have it
Equal.
equally.
Yeah.
Then some of them will be they'll be raised maybe female or male. Then when they grow up, they'll feel they're a different gender from the way they were raised. So it's
That's a
good to be able
topic.
to
That's a topic for
recognize
another day,
that.
actually.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
actually,
It's a major topic. We need
how you doing,
experts.
Nima?
I'm good, thank God. I forgot my mom's birthday was yesterday, so I didn't do
My
it. I
sister's
called
birthday
her,
is today.
but I usually don't do a shout out to her on TV.
Okay.
Only for me to receive calls that
Happy
I
birthday,
You
Nima's
forgot.
mommy.
Happy
Nima's
birthday,
mommy.
Mama Nima.
Happy
Thanks
birthday,
for
Ramat,
raising
my
such
sister.
a fine woman. She's a bully, but
Oh yeah,
thank you.
Anyways, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing amazing. I'm still looking through my goals for the year, and I'm telling myself, don't overwork yourself. Or don't
Exactly.
kill yourself before your time. Take it one day
At a
at a
time.
time. The one you can do, you do. The Lord will balance the rest. Thank you.
I have to give a
And
shout
you?
out to my mother-in-law. She made pounded yam for us yesterday. In fact, there was no other food in the house. We had
Wow.
pounded yam for breakfast, lunch,
And dinner.
In
Wow.
fact, I had 3 plates of pounded yam. And the pounded yam was so fele, it was crazy. Like there was egusi soup, there was eforiro, there was okra. In fact, just choose, pick your
beautiful.
choose.
Wow.
Pick the one that we said, pick your choose, pick the one you want.
I agree with
Choose
you. Pick your choose.
Pick your choose. So I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
so yesterday was amazing. I really enjoyed.
wish I was in your
inyo.
house.
Yes.
No. This inyo, I've had inyo, but this one was different.
Special.
Really
Oh my
soft,
goodness.
'cause me, I like it
soft
to be
and
soft.
stretchy and oh.
But you know what? My mom did not pound growing up. We had
really?
a poundo
The poundo,
machine,
yeah,
and
machine.
she still has it.
Growing
And yes.
Right.
So I want to bring that to my house and use. But my husband does not mind eating the one in the bags. He prefers it to
No,
the one
is
that you
certainly
pound.
not pounded.
Miriam
food.
must be an ajebo to have a poundo machine growing
Growing
up.
up.
We used to pound in my place. So
We had
sit down,
mortars,
do the thing.
and I was escorted to my husband's house with
With
a
a
mortar.
mortar.
Not the
was
washing
my-
machine.
That mortar thing, because my mother-in-law kept telling me, she made a huge fuss over the fact that don't throw it, because I was telling with everything in my house, every small thing, I throw it away.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm like
don't
that.
throw along.
Murayo.
This odo ati iknin. Won't you know?
Murayo.
Every
Oh,
woman
for
should
me,
have
Lele.
one in the
And
house.
I'm
If you want to
thinking,
seek a divorce, just carry your mortar and your broom.
are you for real? So is that
That's
significant?
the significance.
She was trying to explain to me, I didn't understand. I was like,
Traditional
please,
Nima.
if you don't use this
Is
thing,
it
me, I'm throwing it in
mortar?
the dustbin. He said that thing is over
don't know
50
that
years
one.
old. I shouldn't even
True
try
man
it. It
is
was
a
passed down to
dog
her.
in the
Yeah, but Igbo women, I think they give them sewing machines. That's what
Sewing
they get.
machines, mortar.
got a sewing
We have
machine.
mortar as
Okay.
well.
I
And
got a
a
sewing
white
machine.
cloth. That's a aquacha.
I mean, if you see how she cares for this
No,
thing, you
it's
can't
not
put it on the
cloth.
floor.
The aquacha is like your ashoki. It's
Right.
Yes,
knitted
yes,
traditionally.
yes.
We
You
use
can't put it on the
aquacha.
bare floor. You have to put something first before you now put it so that air can get in. All sort of ways she pampers this thing. And I'm wondering,
If it's getting
Just a
spoiled,
freaking
there's a way
wood.
to mend it. I'll teach you. But I threw
All right.
mine away quickly.
okay, I'm happy that we're all happy. It's the second day of the year.
Yes, so
The grind has started, and
We
we're
at
going to
work.
break. When we come back, we'll try to read the papers, because I don't think we read a lot of papers today. we lost count of what's going on in the country, so we're trying to reboot.
Yeah.
Take a few days.
We'll be
Stay
all
with
right.
us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We'll start with the punch. ASU talks tough ahead of Friday meeting with INEC. Picture here of the babies, first babies to be born in Nigeria, I think in FCT and Lagos. Of course, so we have these beautiful, beautiful babies here. New Year's Eve tragedy, 12 die in Ibadan, auto crash. I think that's all over the papers, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Buhari has laid down the foundation for national growth, says Tinubu. NHIS NMA clash over cancer exclusion from health scheme. Adeboye codes 2019 prophecies. Olukoya sees strange happenings. Handling of the fire killings unacceptable, says GNI. And PDP is creating insecurity. Atiku killed power sector, says APC. Okay, let's start with the NHIS NMA because I know that the crash story is elsewhere.
Okay.
And then, yeah, go ahead.
The president of NMA, Nigerian Medical Association, Dr. Adedayo Fadile, in an interview was talking about the exclusion of cancer treatments on the NHIS because he says that a lot of Nigerians just resign themselves to fate because they cannot afford the treatment.
Right.
And one of the reasons they can't afford treatment, most of these machines used to treat cancer, you can find them in Nigerian hospitals. So only those who can afford to go abroad, you know, and it's so expensive. But then they spoke to the NHIS spokesperson. His name is Ayo Osulu, and he says that if they were to include the cancer treatments in the NHIS, the funds will be depleted.
Yeah, totally.
But that they're looking at it to see how they can.
I mean, I've worked in an insurance company back in the US, and I know that it's not all those cancers at the time.
Yeah.
Those cancer drugs, cosmetic surgery, those things were not covered by insurance. It's just the basic health care that was covered. Things like diabetes, those kind of diseases were not totally covered. You have to pay extra for those. But maybe it has changed now.
The ASU story. Can we
ASU there's a headline also.
Right.
Oh, okay. So, of course, the new year, and as we know, the pastors give their normal annual prophecies. But in the twist of events this year, the General Overseer of Redeem, Dr.
Doctor, just say Daddy Gio, simple.
Daddy Gio. Okay, Daddy Gio. He said that God gave him the prophecies, and when he heard the prophecies, he said to God, according to the report in Punch. So when God gave him the prophecies, he said, Father, this is an election year. And if I give these prophecies, the politicians will twist it. And then God said to him, don't worry, this time they'll be coded. So God gave him this year's prophecies in code. But he read from the Bible.
Can we move on now to the
He read from the Bible. He read from the Bible. And the code is Lamentations 3:22-23. And he's
So
talking about
read it.
mercies. And he said, go and read it and pray for mercies.
Father Mbaka, on his own part, said that all Nigerians to pray hard to overcome what it had impending unimaginable difficulty in 2019.
Right. Okay.
And you
So
know, he
see
also
what
called
happens.
for people to
You're
vote
right.
President Buhari.
Right. He suddenly has turned now, and I think
Has he turned? He has always been.
He's
Eh,
just
you know, the time
because
you just
he has
see
been banned
derailed.
from
Now he's back on
endorsing any
track.
candidates,
Right.
and he still went ahead. I don't know.
Anyways, moving on to Daily Sun 2019, APC PDP perfect zoning ahead elections. Buhari will be judged by his actions, says Atiku. There's hope for the future of Nigeria, says Jonathan. Minimum wage mobilized for prolonged strike, Labour tells workers. And New Year Eve auto crash claims 12 lives in Ibadan. Let's talk about the auto crash, really
Yeah,
sad.
it's a very sad story. This happened in Ibadan. A trailer just came and rammed into commercial
Failed his
buses.
brake.
No, according to the story, they had not ascertained what happened,
At
whether
the
he failed his
time.
brake or the buses were parked carelessly. So he just rammed into them and other vehicles, and they lost 12 lives. One in particular was a pregnant woman who was just going to visit the in-laws, and according to the story, she just moved into her house 2 days before.
Son,
It's
hopefully
really
he's
sad
sad.
story.
He's recovering. He survived. He's in the hospital. We're hoping that
For the
The
baby.
son, yeah.
she was with her son traveling. She was pregnant with him.
I heard that was just about 15 minutes to midnight. Really, really close.
11:45 a.m.
Really sad.
So sad.
Moving on to Vanguard. NBA tackles Buhari over rule of law abuse. Aisha chairs Women Youth Presidential Campaign Team for Buhari. Presidency to spend 274.7 million on electricity, 65 million on animals. 21 persons, including pregnant women, we talked about that, died in the Ondo-Oyo crashes. Buhari's claim of Boko Haram's defeat makes mental test of presidential candidates logical. We are not reviewing committee report. Federal government says it's delayed tactics by government, says Labour. Boko Haram security situation in Borno getting worse. An armed headsman raised Governor Autumn's 100 million naira rice farm. Let's talk about Labour for a second.
So
Who was that
Lagos
story?
30,000 naira minimum wage is, of course, they were claiming that federal government, in their usual reply, saying they're reviewing this, the report of the committee is a delay tactic. And federal government said, we are not reviewing. We've agreed this has been provided for in the budget, but the governors, of course, are at variance with them. They are saying, you don't have any reason. Stop, having these excuses, giving us these fake excuses, and do the right thing. So they're going back and forth.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, the Autumn story.
Yes, go ahead.
So these alleged headers came into his farm, over 250 hectares, and burnt the whole farm. They lit up the fires from 3 different points, and rice worth over 100 million was lost in this fight. Now they've gone after them. The military, the government officials have gone after them. But my problem is, why are they destroying properties and destroying food? This farm is not just for him as a businessman, but to provide. We're complaining we don't have rice.
If they set fire to his farm, that's arson. That's a different crime. So let's find out who was behind this arson.
Okay, so when I read the story, at first I said, okay, these herders came in with their cattle, right? So I was, in my mind, I'm thinking, how do you go in with your cattle and then set the place
ablaze?
Ablaze. So could it be that, they were grazing and then they put things, you know how you can just start a fire and it's a Harmattan season. Right.
Then
that could have been a mistake. I don't know.
Been an investigator now.
Yes, I think, because it's better to, yes.
All right. Let's just
could
focus on
have
what the
been
story
an
said.
I would have loved that we took...
Okay, let's go to New Telegraph. Tragic New Year Day. 2019, Aisha Buhari leads APC Women Youth Presidential Campaign Team. Picture here of the babies of the year. Why must it be the wives of the governors that carry the baby? Can't the governors themselves carry babies?
No, I look forward to that.
Women are meant to carry babies.
Oh, really? Right. Budget 2019, Buhari Osinbajo to spend 2.34 billion naira. There's one story that here caught my eye. Tony Elumelu says luck played a role in his career and his success. And GNI expresses worry over Nigeria's security challenge. Okay, any stories here that you guys...
the Jamaat al-Nasri Islam, that's headed by the Sultan of Sokoto, have called on government to do the right thing and to stem this insecurities growing Zamfara. Borno joining voice with the governor of Borno State, Shetima, saying Boko Haram is growing again in their state and insecurity is rife everywhere. It seems that they're not doing enough. I had a personal conversations with one of the soldiermen I usually drop off at on my way to work in the morning, and one of them was saying to me that it's not the lack of arms, but the quality of the arms that they have. So you take an AK-47 and you shoot and it doesn't go far, and the Boko Haram's rifle, the weapon that will go farther than yours will come, and they will be killing them from places they can't even sight them. So they should really,
hear stories like
sincerely,
arms procured.
Yes.
What kind of arms?
What kind of arms is, but not the arms, but the quality of arms. So they should do the right thing and sincerely cop this. The soldier man was saying to me, it cannot take them 2 days with the right weapon to cover Boko Haram.
Okay, let's move on very quickly to the Nigerian Tribune. APC tried, failed to lure Southeast governor, says PDP. Suspected herdsman burned Autumn's 250-hectare rice farm. Father Mbaka Dares Catholic Church calls for Buhari's re-election. Let's see, another story. Let's move on quickly to the next paper. This day, Shetima admits worsening security situation in Borno. I think you mentioned that earlier. Buhari is growing the economy steadily, says APC. Nigeria's external reserves hit $43.2 billion. All right, unfortunately, we need to move on. We have to round up at this time. Let me just take The Guardian if we can, very quickly. Insecurity may mar polls. And there's another story I saw here. Federal government rules out termination of amnesty scheme for militants. And our Lagos State governor is saying that they will complete all the ongoing projects before me, which is great. He was saying this yesterday.
They're still working.
Assuring us that, yes, things are happening, but definitely all the projects Lagos have started.
The Irede Road, that, of course, is one of the projects, should not be abandoned. It's become an alternative route, and I used it, and I think...
Because
even in my area,
yes.
We've seen that.
Whoever next governor is will not have peace until I have that route completed. I'm telling you.
You've heard Nima, she's spoken. Let's go on a break. When we come back, this issue of faking it till you're making it, we've discussed it before, but I'd like to hear it because as a year is starting out, should you actually fake it? Because some people do have recorded successes in faking it, and they made it eventually. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, veteran Nigerian actor Richard Mofe-Damijo, in his 2019 New Year message, said he's no longer surprised when people who earn next to nothing allegedly buy multi-million-dollar cars and homes for their families. According to him, after all, the catchphrase that says, fake it till you make it. But the question is faking it a guarantee to making it? Well, we'd like to hear your views. You can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. What are your thoughts on what he said? As I said, we've discussed it before, but it's a new year, and people have goals, people have desires, you know. And personally, I've been one of those kind of people that I've always liked being real. Just be who you are. But I found that it hasn't taken me that far. Like,
You think so?
Listen, it hasn't.
What's the skill?
Well, that was the skill. Good
How do
question.
you measure it?
I'm measuring it by the kind of, I have the opportunities, but I haven't been able to access it. So if I'm able to fake this thing, I don't know, let me not go too far, because I'm treading carefully, choosing my words carefully.
You're much more
You're
than
just
you
being careful
are.
because you know I'm going to go there.
No, because the truth is that, listen, I was telling you during the break that I have a friend, both of us came to Nigeria at the same time. And I remember when he came home, both of us, we enter this country together now. We go out together, and I'll see the way you just put on the American accent.
Before.
Me, I had an American accent, but I was trying to press it down, like suppress it, and speak more Yoruba outside. And he's there doing all the fun, and I'm wondering, look at his face, calm down, now we're not in Nigeria, just try and find a way. And I see our lives today. I can see there's a huge difference because the kind of people he's rolling with.
What if he's still faking it for you? What if he's still faking it?
He's still faking it, I know,
you?
to today, but trust me.
But
He's opening doors for him.
Exactly.
I was telling
opening doors for
Nima
him.
this morning that it was out of respect for her that made me drop my 3 weeks American accent because I just respect her. On a normal day, I would have picked up the accent and I wouldn't drop it.
said,
The thing is, we live in a materialistic society where people judge you based on what they perceive you have. And if you are in the entertainment industry, it's even worse. I went for an audition one time and I was putting my car keys in my handbag and one of my friends said, hold your car keys. I'm like, what? He said, you are walking in now. They've called your name, right? I say, say, hold your car keys. The directors will see that you have a car. They'll give you a good role.
Packaging.
So that's the packaging. So for people who are doing normal, maybe corporate jobs and they don't need as such, compared to people who are in the limelight, you need to package yourself because of the way the society is going so that they perceive you well and they pay you better.
Okay, for me,
Mariam,
when
go
I
ahead.
first, for me, my own introduction to faking it till you make it is about confidence. You have to pretend to be confident. You can be scared and shaking, but then you sound like you're not. So that is where I know about faking it and making it. But of course, I realize that it's moved on to, as you said, material things, you know. And I can't pretend. I don't know how to. I will be caught. I cannot fake it.
Mariam,
So
I met a
problem is-
lady, and during that time when I just go back to, this lady had a full-blown Queen's English.
Wow.
And then I was going through a period of depression. I was going through that depression where I felt like, okay, it's just me in this world. There's no other person helping me out. So I saw somebody who was seemed like I just got back, like me. So I thought we could be friends. I started warming up to her. So where did you go to school? You know, that to be friends. She has never entered Murtala before. But her parents taught her how to speak the Queen's English. And she spoke even better than the Queen. And honestly, I see her, I mean, once in a while, I check her on Facebook. And she's
doing amazing.
Access. She's, you know, this accent in opens doors. Oh, I'm telling you.
But you know, I won't
It
call her
opens
own
doors for her.
faking it. I won't call that faking it.
Okay.
Because she put in the
learns.
work. That is
Right.
work.
So that's not
But
fake.
Yes, that's not fake. Fake is you say you live somewhere, a particular address, because we have that.
On an island, and you
but
stay
you
at
don't.
Alakoko like me.
Maybe you live at Obalende, but then you say Ikoyi.
Yeah.
You know,
Of course,
that-
Obalende is in Ikoyi.
yeah, but we know that there's a difference, you know. Or everyone that says, oh, I live on the island, but,
Stay at
you
Alakoko.
know, I don't
Like
know.
me.
There are some fringe areas, just like a little step. But it's separated.
No, what do you want to say?
So those are the things that I talk about faking.
faking, yeah.
But what is scarier now is what's happening on social media, where we have people who are putting up cars and houses and saying, oh, this is what I got myself for the New Year's, or I got myself for the Christmas. And then you find, especially amongst entertainers
Yes.
and actors, and there was this particular person, Juliet Ibrahim, came out and said, I'm worried. Are we not in the same industry? What's
Joanna.
happening? And so to also hear Richard Mofedamijo saying about people faking it, so now I understand that when they put it out there, it's not real.
It true.
It may not be true. It may not be real. They just put it-
for that
repackaging
packaging.
and
Welcome to Nima, but let me take this
themselves.
call from Marvelous. Marvelous, are you there? Thanks for calling. Oh, sorry,
Oh, we
Mr.
lost
Call.
that.
So, Nima, your thoughts
I'd
on
like
this faking
to-
it and making it?
Say what Richard Mofedamijo was saying, that he doesn't believe in the faking it and making it thing. He thinks it's a waste of time. This is someone who has put in over 30 years in one industry before he finally got his break. This is someone who did the work and finally got his break. And this is your reality check for those people who are living in their clouds, believing that one role model is making it. Look at the people who had to do the work. And there's also this value that I was raised with, contentment. I don't know how. I did a post yesterday. I didn't even know about Richard's post until I read the email for today's topic, but I did a post yesterday about faking it.
saw
I'm
the
just
post. I
tired
saw the
up to here of the kind of fake and unrealistic things I see around me. There's nothing wrong in being a normal person. If you're worth 20,000, live the life of a 20,000-year. Don't live the life of a millionaire and start to excuse it and then be up to your neck in debt. I don't understand
Where
how
does the role
people
of
do it.
aspiration come in?
Hold on.
Aspiration. You can aspire to be something, do the work.
To get there.
And be honest about you're not having gotten there, but being on the path to getting there.
Like me now.
Okay, let me take this call from Ayo. I was one of our phones today.
I
Sorry,
don't
go
know.
ahead.
Yes, so Richard can stand and
Is it
say
called RMD?
RMD,
So
yeah.
that people know who we're
he's
talking
a
about.
big bros, yes. He can stand and say the work before the success because at his time, the society hadn't moved. I remember when they were starting as actors, we were kids. We see them on bikes, on buses.
And we appreciated
and we
them.
appreciated them
It
that
is
way.
normal life.
So we respected the fact that they were actors, but then they hadn't made it.
Right.
And we're okay. But right now, as an actor that is popular, somebody sees you on Keke Marua, you are gone.
Okay. So that so that brings
So
me
it
to
was easy. No, it was easy at that time to be who you are and still make it. Because I remembered, yes, I remembered as
Why
model.
is it
Hold
not
on,
easy
hold on,
now?
Hold on. I
You are
remember-
apologetic.
Hold on.
See, Obiajulu, see, don't-
Hold on. I remembered as a model, when companies wanted to get people to do their products, to advertise their, like brand faces we have now, they go for models, professional models. Right now, they go for stars, actors, and all of that. And then before they pick you, they check your Instagram.
Yeah.
That is a criteria to pick you. They check your Instagram, check how many people are following you, check what you put up, because they want to sell their market. So the market has moved.
Okay.
As an entertainer,
All right.
that packaging works right
Okay,
now.
let's move on to talking to Marvelous. He's been holding for a while. Marvelous, are you there? Let me not lose this call. Hello, are you there? Something wrong with our phone lines. Yes, Mariam, go ahead.
So for me, it brings me to the conversation we had yesterday when I was saying that I think we are pushing
Hello.
materialism. Oh, okay.
Marvelous, you there?
Marvelous.
Yes, I can hear you. I
Go
can hear
ahead,
you
please.
clearly.
Go ahead. Join the conversation.
Hello?
You're live,
can hear
Marvelous.
you.
Go ahead, please.
I can't hear you clearly, sorry.
All right. Go ahead, Mariam.
Okay, so I think that we moved from a position where we understood what was important, the values that were important, and now, to be honest, we have made money important.
gods.
And of course, there are things like character. You can't fake character, but you can fake money. So that is why it will sell. Those are the things that will sell. But we need to go back to what is real. Yesterday when I was talking, someone sent an Instagram message to me and she said, thank you, to be able to talk about your vulnerability and be open about it. A lot of us try to hide those things.
But if we
and
could-
if you're real, you show your value, there are people who will see that and will
Connect.
appreciate you. There's a difference between being, you can be popular, do what would take you, you think it's popular and people would love, but then the difference, what sets you apart is if you're able to stand alone with your good values in spite of, what you might lose because of
Okay, let me use the
popularity.
example.
Come to Nima. Olabi, are you there? Hello?
Hello.
Go ahead,
Good
please.
morning.
Morning, go ahead.
And the crew.
Yeah.
You see something about Nigeria right today, like we all believe in material things. What they say with people is what they value. They don't even value the human in them again. And that is why you see our artists going up and down, borrowing cars to like, I just acquired this house. At the end of the day, the landlord is like, okay, this person is not paying rent, move out. And you discover that it's not their house. I can list like 10 artists in the year, like, okay, I own a mansion, I own this and that. You don't need to fake it. People will come. This is the life. But the human in you, let the people know the human in you, not the material things in you. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
God bless you.
Thank you, bros.
So I wanted to make an example of Mama Rainbow. Yeah, Rainbow finally had a break with the Airtel endorsement. She's done the adverts, and I actually spent megabytes on YouTube watching the Airtel adverts just because it's telling a story that I love. This woman started as a Yoruba actress. I don't know her personally, so I don't know how well she speaks English. But Instagram and YouTube and Facebook were not things that she didn't care about. But somebody looked at the quality of a person and said, this is the personality that fits into this role. And I know the mega millions that will be alerting inside the account now. Be constant, be consistent, be true to yourself, be unapologetic about the situation that is your own. You're living in a 2-bedroom flat like I am.
Own it.
Be proud of it.
Wow.
Boro boro, stilly, beggy is the embarrassment.
Okay, I agree.
Just to make it up, to fake it. I will go and borrow someone's car. I cannot live that kind of life.
All right, okay,
I don't understand people
living
living that
all
kind of
agree
life.
on that generally because we all say the same thing. But I want to throw a bit of a curveball here because when Aaron was saying, have faith in God, a lot of us just say, I'm having faith in God. I'm just going to believe. So this is going to drop from the sky. You don't do any work and you just have that faith. But there's some people who have actually, I don't want to use the word fake it, maybe to be sort of a strong word, but people actually, they activate their faith. Then you make it look as if I am there already. So you don't have a job, but you suit up in the mornings, you look the part, you walk the part, you're jobless, you dress nicely, you do your hair. Okay. They say you are dressed the way you are being.
You are dressed the way you're dressed.
You're dressed the way you're dressed. So you go there, you look the part. Would that be seen as faking it, or are you just trying to
Let me
aspire
tell
to
you the
something bigger
danger.
than you are?
Let me tell you the danger in that. I remember as a teenager, trying to find God, and there was this Pentecostal church at the time just making lots of waves. So I decided to go to, and during one of their meetings after church, they were introducing this millionaire, this person millionaire. In my mind, I'm like, wow, you're all millionaires here. But then I noticed their slippers is chop. I'm like, humble millionaires.
Very humble.
But it was later I understood that they were not millionaires. They were just fake. They were believing it till they made it. And I don't know how many of them actually became millionaires because after a while I still saw them in those. So I think there's a danger in that where it was saying faith. We're mistaking faith for faking it. Faith is, okay, this is who I am, but I'm believing God and I'm putting in the work. I will not lie to someone that I'm already a millionaire when I'm not because I have faith.
Don't take
But I'm
a
hoping-
fake
yes.
personality to the bank. Premium Home says, my people like to see you shining before they can listen to you and bestow confidence in you. For instance, clients want to see you with an expensive car, expensive clothes, perfumes before they can give you money.
Tell them
that
before
is
you
what
get the
drives a
job.
lot of people into adopting the fake life.
We have to continue.
Even the investor will invest in a Korofo
Yes,
because
so-
eventually they'll find out you can't
And
pay.
that's why
I have a
everybody's
friend that
in
gets
trouble.
jobs
Yes,
because
now.
of the kind of bag she carries.
Before.
The kind of car she drives.
I was
Trust me,
advised
the
that
kind
way.
of money she gets. I'm wondering,
Forget
this
it,
Nigeria,
see.
we're doing like a bunch
This
of
is
people. Let's go on a
Nigeria.
break. When we come back, I have a special guest with us. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So she's a spirited lawyer and on-air personality. Yeah. She was diagnosed with osteogenic sarcoma, that is the cancer of the bone, at the age of 20. She eventually opted for a limb amputation. However, against all odds, she's been able to pull through and become stronger. She has since been nominated for several media awards,
Yeah.
winning some and getting others for recognition for her job and work with the people living with disability. Welcome with us, Adenike Oyetunde. Thank you. So you can join our conversation with her on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag #YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. So you heard our conversation on faking it and making it. Have you experienced, or do you even fake?
Do you fake it?
Do you fake it to make it?
I would say very categorically, I do not fake it. And I'm hoping that this is the honest truth, because I realize that quite often when people transit from that space where there's an illusion that they're actually living truly, they don't realize until they're neck deep in debt and depression and all of that. But she mentioned something earlier. She talked about contentment. And I'd always say it, one of the key factors to me was this Asoebi culture. I grew up with a mother. My mom's still alive because she's watching. My mom doesn't have the Asoebi culture, never. Okay. So I didn't grow up knowing that I had to buy everybody's Asoebi. So I just realized that everyone around me was getting married. So in a year, there'll be like 6 weddings, and everybody had this Asoebi that you had to buy.
Expensive.
And like 3-4 years ago, I said, you know what, you guys, I'm going to do only 2 in a year, wherever it is that you are. And regardless of the fact that I'm doing 2, if it exceeds 20K, and that 20K, it has to be really beautiful. I am not doing. And it was easier for me, but I didn't realize that not everyone had it easy, because some people grew up with the culture of always wanting to please people, always, let's support. And in that bid, you see people who earn 3 million naira in a year. When they are doing the assessment for the entire year, they spent 1-point-something million naira on Asoebi.
But you see, these stories are interesting and they're easy to understand. But you see, I have seen people, I didn't get that, went to borrow money to buy bags. Borrowed maybe an uncle's car. They go for this this presentation, this pitching for a job, and they get the job. They wear on the accent, they look the part. When they now get the job, they're not running helter-skelter looking for who's going to help them to execute this job, because they did all that together. So they faked it. Somehow they did that consistently for a period, and now they've made it. So it's easy for us to be comfortable on this side of the world, say, oh, those ones, this rubbish. But there's some people doing it and they're making it.
Working. And maybe, when you start talking about Asoebi, maybe on different levels we do it without recognizing it. And so when you said about the
school fees, people who send their kids to schools that they cannot afford. We talk about these things in isolation and just always figure that it's always the fake bags, the bags they cannot afford, the cars, the houses. When I genuinely did talk about parents who cannot readily afford the schools that their kids go to, but for the want of a better education, quality.
My mom sent me to a school she could not afford.
But the reality is, why I grew up in Ikoyi.
But what you're faking is,
I grew up in Ikoyi. I grew up on a street that had all the A-listers around me. Guess the school my parents took me to? Command Primary School. And I grew up asking my mom, why didn't you take me? There was, St. Xavier was around me. Corona was around us. Home science was around us. And my mom said something. My mom said her plan when she was living at Ondo was that any school she puts her child in, that if anything happened to her husband, she wanted a school that she would be able to afford. And please, I don't need to speak for Ned. My English is not that bad.
Your English is cool, baby. Listen. I don't
because you have so many you mentioned, look,
I have so many of these stories. I know another father
school fees
took his parents to Corona. He couldn't afford it. But we know how hard it was. He pushed because he wanted a different circle of friends for his own children.
My neighbor growing up couldn't afford the school, and they would always loan money to pay every single term. I did not like it.
Today, how are they?
Okay, how are they?
Well, to be very factual, her kids are not as different as any other kid.
Okay. You know, when it comes to education, I cannot take that. I can't take the fake it till you make it with school.
That's the thing.
Because for me, especially as I'm a very good example of that, my mom could barely afford my fees, and she just wanted to make sure. And she had lost her husband at a really young age. She was in her 20s, and she had these 2 children, and she just thought the best thing she could do for her kids. She cannot give them houses and things, but she can give them a good education. So I do not see that as faking it.
Take your kids to schools you cannot afford. What I think that another thing that parents do is they leave a mentality where they do not tell their children what the truth is. Let your my friends whose parents sent them to America, my friend's mother sold everything she had to pay that
And
fee.
the child will see you do that sacrifice.
Look,
not
we
kill
cannot
yourself.
afford this thing. We are doing this for you. This school that you are going to, we're not telling you to. You understand what it is. Show the kids your book of account. Let
So
your
you
children.
build better. You add
In
the
these
value.
schools, the kids go for summer.
About
Oh,
the
we
Joseph's
just got back from this.
mentality.
We
US,
cannot
UK.
afford summer.
Yeah, that's what you
Excuse
see.
me.
So one more thing.
May I
Let
do
me
the
just
distinction,
add,
Miriam?
just
1
finish.
minute.
Just let me finish. One more thing that my mom used to say about that. She says, I did that, but I knew also that you didn't dress as well as the others.
Yes.
You didn't go to some places that they did, but I was sure that this would carry you, you know, in the
Far.
future.
So the distinction is that your mom is not trying to make you a Jones. She's simply
That
trying to
broke.
make you a better person. So you had the values and you saw the sacrifices she was making. That's the problem. I just want my friends to know that my children is going to Corolla. That's a different. Sorry,
a different matter.
I went to command. It was the same standard of education, the
Congratulations
same
to both of
standard
you.
all the way to secondary.
Yes. So
Anyway, okay, want to say
yes. What's the place of putting yourself in that position, like seeing in your mind's eye where you want to be before you get there? Because you know, faith without works is dead. 1, 2. We are beginning to learn now that the subconscious mind controls
Stronger, right.
90%. 90%
of your conscious.
of who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so now if I believe that I am a millionaire and I dress like a millionaire,
And I call myself a millionaire.
No. I'm not.
Just write it on your
I may
wardrobe
not
every morning,
borrow.
I'm a
I may not
millionaire.
borrow, but I
Buy
try
a
as much as
sticker on the
possible
car.
to have that confidence. And then I don't have a job. I pick up my briefcase in the morning, believing God. No, it works for people. Let's be realistic
Exactly.
here. Believing God that I will go out and look for that contract, and they will look at me and give to me. My husband, let me use him for example. When he was in secondary, he always knew he wanted to be a banker. So when his mates were wearing jeans in the university, he was on suit. I'm not joking, he was on suit. If I bring out the old pictures now, you will laugh.
He was on coat.
Coat, tie. And so when he graduated and his father took him to, there was one of their friends they wanted to visit.
Right.
So he went there, he was all dressed up. And the man looked at him and said, young man, where do you work? He said, I just finished NYSC. You don't have a job? He said, yes, I'm believing God for a job. And he said, you are already looking the part. And he prophesied on him. It didn't take long for him to get that job because he had already seen himself. So where is that?
I want us to move on because I want to focus on you now.
Yes.
But the truth is that what you just said, what I'd like us to round up with, I don't want to downplay that part.
Yes.
Of believing
motivational
from within.
speaking, of pushing yourself, of belief. But we should not also forget that one of the key indicators that actually differentiates faking it to you making it is what is your end goal. If your end goal is to just impress, is to oppress people, then
to show off.
Problem.
But he wanted it. His end goal was to get the job. His end goal was to have, her mother's end goal was to have her kids get qualitative education, which in turn, changes a generation forever.
That makes sense. So it depends on what the end goal is.
Exactly.
Now let's come to you, Auntie.
My name is Adenike.
Because, I mean, you're obviously very popular. A lot of people know you. You are the young lady that got her limb amputated at the age of 20 after they discovered you had cancer.
Yes.
And we heard the story, of course, initially there was that initial breakdown. Where you thought the entire world was going to come down, collapse on you. But somehow you were able to pick up the pieces of your life. We want to, we've heard it. Well, we want to know how you're faring because we've heard your stories. We know, yes, you're an amputee, you're living your life, you're a lawyer, you're doing a lot of things. But how are you faring today? What are those challenges, your daily challenges? What are the things you're going through every single day? People are not seeing. They only see the nice, on-air personality. What are the real issues behind the picture?
I'll start from where you mentioned on-air personality. Last year, March, almost a year, I was fired from a job that everybody thought was the it thing. Right. Oh my God, you're doing so well. I was sitting down there and I actually messaged and I was saying, I actually genuinely miss radio. And it was, my walls did not shatter, I'll be very honest, because it had been a long time coming. And several factors had already started to build up to that moment. But I did not know when to exit, as with almost all of us. When to go. And then I got the call, oh, you've been fired. I'm like, oh, that's fine, you guys, bye. And I just knew I needed time for myself. And one thing that struck out the most for me in 2018 was, it's actually okay to have no plan. sometimes, as a person, I do not fault people who always say have a 5-year, 10-year goal. I never do. But I realize that for me, one of the things that helped me and continues to help me is the fact that I understand how God relates with me. And one thing that happens for me is God works with me in a 5-year circle. So when that happened, I literally had to go back. Every 5 years, something interesting starts or ends.
There's a shift.
And it was almost 3 months to the 5th year. Okay. I'm like, okay, you know, God, I know what you're doing, but I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to watch. It was devastating to a lot of people, but to me, I just needed to own my peace in that season.
Right.
So losing the job was a shocker because very honestly, I barely had savings. And that's another thing about being in the media industry in Nigeria. Yes. You can count the number of people who are well paid. And imagine that I had gone on social media and I have posted, pictures. How was I supposed to keep up with that lifestyle?
Come back.
Thank you for that, because people think that we are anyone big money now. But I'm necessarily, honestly, it's really annoying. But let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So I'm not sure you really answered my question concerning how you're faring, because there's something I'm trying to get to. There are a lot of young girls that have been amputated, either one limb or the other today. They're 4, 6, 8, the kids, the babies.
Or teenagers.
Not even up to teenagers, maybe sometimes teenagers. And they want to see the end result. They want to see what's going to happen to me 10 years, 15 years. And you're almost in that space where you're an adult, you're living your life, and they want to feel like, okay, she's there. She's married with kids, family. She has a great career. She's successful. I can too. I want you to talk to them or tell us how you are really faring at this point in time.
I think that one truth I have owned is the fact that, one, I do not have, two, I do not have solutions to everyone's problems. Okay. And that, two, solutions that are very specific and can only be tailor-fitted for you when you internalize your own journey and own your story. I do not have a story of how it will end for them. But one thing I know that is helping me, because it's a daily thing. The days I wake up and I'm just tired. I don't, I can only tell you to own your story. And take it one day
at a time.
That you will get married, you will have children, you will have, because somehow that is the major concern for a lot of people. I don't push that for when I meet people. I always go, what are the things that interest you? What do you want to become? What are the things that you want to see happen to you? When all of those things happen, if marriage or kids become a result, then it's an addition.
Okay.
And parents kind of fight me like, oh, why are you telling them to me? I'm not saying don't aspire to get married, but
just take a day at a time.
One day at a time.
Let me take Philip. Philip, are you there? Philip. Hello, you're live.
Yeah, okay. Good
Go
morning.
ahead, please. Go ahead.
You see, the topic you are discussing this morning is a very, very lively one. You see, this issue, there is no way this country we are today that you will not package yourself. Now, I want us to draw a line between faith and pretense, okay? Knowing who I am, working towards that is what I call faith. But believing that I'm going to get this, then sitting down for one angel to bring it, that is what leads people into this discussion we are having this morning. I remember then in Abuja when we went for a job, I was not qualified to take that position. But I went there, suited, looking good. We passed through 3, process. I was disqualified in the 2, but it was mandatory for us to see the MD. By the time we got to the office of the MD, I got there and he looked at me. Where are you from? I told him where I'm from. But looking at me, he said, well, you are not qualified, but I am the MD. I want to use my position to give you, at least everybody has a beginning, because all our persons, they have experience. So what am I saying?
Thanks for that, Philip. Thanks for that point.
It's not time for me to talk.
Adenike,
I have followed you, especially because I noticed you studied the same course as I did. The truth is, you didn't get into your law study before your amputation. It happened after. something depressing would have happened to other people that they would have given up on life. They would not have pushed forward. I want to dig into where Mariah is going. What made you continue on that part of getting a degree, moving on? And every point in time, you're doing something amazing. I saw you in South Africa. You're not doing something amazing. You're just living life, enjoying it. For some people, the depression will not be here. It will be here. I need you to share with us that story, something that whatever motivated, whatever pushed you, share it with us, and then tell us the truth. How do people in your place see the Nigerian life? Do we provide for them? Do we understand them? Is government policies every day working in your favor? What would you like to change?
You have just touched me in a very soft spot. Yes. I must say that I honestly want to give credit to the facility owners, because I got here and I just saw, Professor Park. I'm like, oh my God. And it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And we all know that the government, state and federal, is not doing enough for persons living with disability. And interestingly enough, sometime a few weeks ago, I actually did take the Office of Disability in Lagos State to court, and it's presently in court. And all I'm asking them to do is do your damn job. And they sent a 30-paged paragraph defense. And one of their defenses was the fact that I am not a known person living in Lagos State with disability. Whoa. And I went, you know what?
Let's not go into the case because
I said, you know what? Let's push. And that hurt me so much because, again, it emphasized the fact that there's so many more people like myself who are not as vocal as I am. And one of the things that actually just pushed me every single day is to see that somehow in my being me, I'm encouraging people to come into the fullness of who it is that they are. And I also have agreed and accepted that I am not a superwoman.
Right.
I think it's a cloak that society places on us and doesn't allow us be vulnerable or allow us break. And in the moments where we break, everybody goes, and I thought she had it together. No. There are moments where I do not have it together. There are moments where I do not know what's happening. There are moments where these things don't make sense. I got a degree, the diagnosis came in my second year in university. And I did not think of, there was no other option than to just keep pushing. And I feel very strongly that my personality also did influence me, which is why upbringing of your kids
is important.
My parents, subtly, my father doesn't know how to, push. She wasn't a pushy person. But my mom has this energy. She's a go-getter. You cannot tell my mother no. So the fact that, okay, cancer, yeah, cut it in, and then next. Exactly, what next? So I kept pushing and pushing, and I'm still pushing.
You said something about the government doing something about, just providing access way, parking, just because I went for this event, well-advertised event in Lagos some months ago, and the lady was coming out in her wheelchair, and it was sad for me because everyone was just trying to help her get over a bump and lift up the wheelchair. It really made me sad. And just before then, someone had come in. Remember, we had someone who had issues with muscle atrophy, and he mentioned that. And I don't know if you work with a group.
Yes.
I know that, of course, you've written a letter as a person, but do you work with a group and advocate this and push it? And do you have any help?
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because I'm launching my book.
Oh, wow.
A few days from today, and I'm launching the book and also officially launching my nonprofit called Amputees United Initiative. And basically what it is we do not provide money. We're just there as a support group. We see these things in American movies where people sit together and share experiences. That's what we're trying to provide for them. Come and share your story. Come and hear the 3-year-old whose mother had found out that, after doing antenatal, the child comes out and they realize, oh my God, this child is being amputated. Come and literally hear the 80-year-old who was amputated in the 80s in Lagos and has lived and is now a grandmother. We're there, we support each other. My dream and goal is to have a facility for persons like myself where it will be all inclusive. You can learn to swim, you can learn to drive, you can learn to cook, you can learn to walk. Provide this. Exactly, you can learn to live.
How's the dating scene been?
Awesome.
Ah.
This guy is living
Give
life.
us juice.
He's living life.
So we have to run the show. Tell us, what's the juice? What's going
You know,
on?
the interesting thing is, I've had more advances as an amputee than I did with both my legs.
Your heart.
It's
What are you talking
intriguing
about?
for a lot of guys, and that's the interesting truth. I literally had to get a guy to confess to me that one of the reasons why he wanted to date me was because he was intrigued and wanted to know what it felt like to date an amputee.
Whoa.
And I'm like, okay, hold on. So it took a long
Confidence
while.
is attractive.
Exactly. So it took a long while. I'm not married yet, but I'm in a
You
relationship.
just say you're dating. Okay, we're in a relationship now. Go ahead.
Yes, I am.
How is your father? Because reading,
Daddy!
hold on, reading your story, he was most moved.
My publisher says that my father is the MVP of this book.
When he sees you now,
a daddy's
how does
girl.
it feel?
I know my parents are going to cry on Sunday because the lunch is going to be amazing, and it's just going to warm my heart to see that once you obey with God and there's tenacity, everything is possible.
Will fall into place.
Father is like a role
That's the
model.
way to
Daddy, my daddy is well, he used to be my best friend until we started to fight recently, but
It's normal.
I love you.
It's normal. It's good to see you. Well, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
We'd definitely like to bring you back again to tell us how the book is doing.
Yes.
And because the idea is to help lots of people out there. And I know that God has put you in this position for such a time as this. So
Yes.
hopefully
Yes.
you definitely impact a lot of lives. Thank you for coming, Adina.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did. Have a fabulous day. Don't forget, our repeat is 11 p.m. tonight. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.